So I think it's safe to say that Kawhi is going to be the best player for the Raptors in the finals. Question is, who's going to be the second best player for them? I think there's 3 candidates, really. Lowry, Marc Gasol, and Pascal Siakam. And some of the things I'm going to mention here are going to be, or were said in my prediction vid, but even so, I feel like doing this anyway, because I think there are some areas that I didn't touch on in that vid. So, the first thing is, I guess we can look at Lowry first. So, I think the big question, and I did mention this in the vid, is are they going to trap Lowry on screens, right? Now, there's definitely reason to do it because you dare some of these Raptors to make threes, but I think the big thing would be having Siakam and Gasol be the two that set screens for Lowry, because Siakam can definitely go off the dribble, and I think Gasol can at least kind of do it. I mean, sure, he's not going to get a burst of speed towards the rim the way Siakam will, but I think Gasol can make a dribble or two, and he, of course, is a great passer, and he might be the best passer on the team, really. But, of course, Lowry's an awesome passer in his own right, so I guess that's kind of step one, and that kind of works for all 3 of these guys, really, is you just have your 2 most skilled bigs be the one setting screens for Lowry. And I guess that opens up the idea that one of those 2 could end up being the best players in this thing, because I think if Siakam can just get an actual running start towards the rim, then he could have a decent amount of baskets in the paint in this series, and he could get fouled a lot. And that would make it to where the Warriors wouldn't have the luxury of just leaving him open in the corner all day long, right? But I guess now I'm just all in on Siakam. The interesting thing could be if the Warriors actually choose to switch some of those, because I think they'd be pretty confident with kind of anybody defending Siakam one-on-one. I mean, even if it's like Steph Curry, because I mean, yeah, obviously the size is there on Siakam's side, but I think Steph can make Siakam just kind of, he can kind of favor him towards one side of the floor, I guess, and force Siakam to either pick the ball up or be in a contested layup scenario, and they could also crowd him at that point and force him to make a pass. And I do think Siakam could have some trouble with that. But again, this is the idea if the Warriors choose to switch on Lowry Siakam screens. Now, if they did choose to switch that, then I guess, is it Draymond who's now on Lowry? I don't know if Lowry can really beat Draymond in one-on-ones like that. Plus, it's pretty scary getting Draymond involved in a screen at all, whether it's to, you know, of course, trap, switch, whatever. So then the next idea is, okay, well then you set the screen with the big who Draymond is not defending. You know, it's Marc Gasol, and then as a result of that, you know, you're going against Bogut or Looney or Jordan Bell or whoever, and you like your chances of that more, because the Warriors are not going to switch that, of course. I mean, I don't think Looney would be able to stay in front of Lowry like that. So maybe that means they would drop, and Lowry would have to be confident enough to take those jumpers. That's been an iffy thing for him. Sometimes he's feeling it, sometimes he isn't. But there's also a chance the Warriors would just dare Marc Gasol to make jumpers if he's in screens with Lowry. And even when I said I think Gasol can go off the dribble a little bit if you trap him, I think Golden State would still dare him to do that. And now we get into another interesting thing, which is, will the Raptors post Marc Gasol in this series? They haven't done him much. He's been playing off of everybody else, and he's been making jumpers, and he's been pretty content with it all. But we saw against the Rockets that if you have a center who isn't killing Golden State whenever they choose to do whatever they do, just because, you know, Capella can't really shoot, can't dribble and all that, then it does give them a lot of luxury on defense, right? But Gasol's actually pretty talented. And I don't know if they're going to go to Siakam at the 5, so that's why I'm thinking about this a lot. You know, if there's times when the Raptors just say, screw it, we're going to throw it to Mark in the post right now, and we're going to force Golden State to defend this, or if not that, then just a lot of screens with Gasol, and you play off of that. Basically what I'm getting at is, are the Raptors going to treat Marc Gasol as if he's been with this team for 2 years or not? Because you got to throw a lot of stuff at Golden State. And of course, whatever one of these things they decide to do, or if they decide to do none of them, that is going to determine who is like the second best player on this team, of course, because apparently that's the point of this video. I guess I can talk about the idea of Lowry just straight ISOs. I don't think it's going to happen that often. You have to imagine that Clay or Iguodala is defending him a lot of the time. Another thing to look at is what the Sixers did to the Raptors in the second round, where they had Embiid defending Siakam, right? And that could, of course, slow him down. What would be the example of that in this series? I guess it would be Bogut or Looney on Siakam. And then it would be Draymond on Gasol, which you have to assume would then make them not want to do as much stuff with Marc Gasol. Although even then you could argue, you throw into the post to Marc and he might be able to do some stuff against Draymond, but Draymond's also really tough to back down. So that's a whole thing. But then, if they do that, then you have to assume that Siakam is then involved in the offense more. So then that opens up the idea once again of maybe Siakam could be the second best player in the series. I don't know. I'm trying to make a case for all three of these guys. There's always a possibility that like Danny Green's the second best player because he just makes a million threes, or Norman Powell's going off the dribble against the Warriors' wing defenders. Not that I really think that's going to happen, but I guess it's a possibility. Maybe Fred VanVleet is making contested threes like he was against the Bucks. I think my pick is probably going to be Lowry. I know it's a pretty basic choice, but his shot making is just a lot higher than Siakam's, and Gasol can make shots and do stuff, but again, I just don't know if the Raptors are really going to run stuff through him like that, and also there's a chance that they could go with Siakam at the 5, even though they haven't done that lineup that much. So, yeah, I guess if I was to rank how each one of them will do, I guess it's Lowry 1. I don't know. I'm struggling with Gasol and Siakam. I guess Siakam 2, just because I could see him having some 17-point games and stuff like that. And yeah, Marc Gasol does a lot of stuff that doesn't show up in the box score. But even so, I don't. Maybe it's Siakam's athleticism as well. I could picture him really hanging around in this series and being able to just be a terror in transition and things like that. And he could grab a lot of offensive rebounds, which is something that you usually want to do against the Warriors. So yeah, I'll go Siakam 2 and then Gasol 3rd for the Raptors' best players in the series, besides Kawhi at number 1, of course.